Welcome to this short Legal Server tutorial. Legal Server is Texas Advocacy Project's case management system, and as a pro bono attorney, you're able to see the cases assigned to you, record your notes in the case files, and track your time. By now, you should have received an email with your Legal Server username, a temporary password, and instructions for changing your password. You should also have been prompted to set up two-factor authentication for security. If you are having trouble logging in, please reach out to probono@texasadvocacyproject.org right away so we can get you set up. Once you're in, come back to this training to learn how to use the tools in Legal Server. Once you are logged in, you will see your Pro Bono homepage. In the blue ribbon at the top, you will see two tabs, Home and Help. If you click on Help, you will be directed to Legal Server's library of user guides describing how to navigate their features. It's probably going to be more information than you need, so if you do need help with anything on Legal Server, please feel free to reach out to us and we will troubleshoot for you. That's probably your best option. Your assigned cases will be listed under My Assignments. You'll see the case ID number and the client's name. To get to the case file, you want to click on the ID number instead of the client's name. If you click on the client's name, you will be able to see a read-only version, but you won't be able to add any of your notes. So we're going to click on the case number, and we'll take you into your case file. Let's go through these different components. The box on the left of your screen is just a quick preview of the case file. It lists the case ID number as well as the client's name. It shows that the case is a legal line call and that it's currently open. It will show you as the advocate, and you can have contact information is handy here, although it's right here as well, so you probably don't need to open that up. So over to the right is just some basic information, contact information, demographic information, and financial information. This just gives you a little sense of who you will be talking to. The first thing you want to do when you come into the case file is to go down to the case notes and look at the note submitted by intake. In this case, the note says that the client needs divorce. There are no children from the marriage, but she has a child from a prior relationship. She wants a protective order to keep AP, adverse party, away from the child. So you know what the issue is. She needs a divorce, but there's no children from that marriage, but there is a child from a prior marriage that she wants the abuser to stay away from. So you have a sense of the issues you're going to be talking to the client about. This next section here is where you'll be spending most of your time. This is where you'll record the notes from your legal line call. Under case description and advice, you'll see two options. You'll see the case description and the advice. If you click the case description link, it will open a text field where you can record the factual background, legal issues, and basic information we'll ask you to collect. So you can make this text box bigger by dragging that. Most of our attorneys take notes during the call in a Word document and then transfer them to Legal Server after the call. However, you should feel free to use whatever system you're most comfortable with. Okay, so for purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to go back to a case that's already been completed to show you what the case notes look like. We'll start with the case description. This is the format our attorneys use to record their notes. It's important that we use a uniform approach when writing our case notes so that all of our staff attorneys can easily understand the advice given and the actions taken. So we're asking you to use this format as well. At the top of the box, you enter the date of the legal line call, your name, and then in parentheses, pro bono attorney. After that, you record some basic information using this format. These instructions are all in the Legal Line Script and Issue Spotting tool that is found on the Pro Bono resources page of our website. So don't feel like you have to remember it right now. I just want to show you what it looks like. So AP stands for adverse party, who is the husband in this case. Date of marriage, the date of separation, of course, only if that's relevant. The children in custody, this means a 3-year-old male and a 1-year-old female. Then we ask that you list any criminal history for both the adverse party and for the client you're speaking with. We list the types of domestic violence here. So in this case, it's physical and verbal, but it could also be financial and psychological. Whether there is an immediate fear of safety, and then what the legal issue is. And in this case, it is divorce and custody. it's very important that the next thing you do is record in your notes that the client understands and consents to the confidential nature and limited scope of the services provided. All of our attorneys put this in their notes to make sure that we do have consent from them. After that, you start recording the facts of the client's situation. These are all made up facts, but this is the format that our attorneys use to record the facts. Just record the facts that you believe are relevant to the client's legal issue, and this is an example of the way that we do that. When you're finished recording all of the facts, you hit continue. And then to click on the advice tab, you start again with the date of the legal line call, your name, and then in parentheses, pro bono attorney. This is where you record the advice that you give to the client. And again, we're asking you to use the standardized format for consistency and clarity. To make this process easier, our issue spotting tool that is on our pro bono resources page includes predefined language for topics that you may encounter during the call. You'll see a list of the topics with a suggested sentence that always starts with advised on. And the idea is for you to be able to cut and paste the appropriate sentence for each issue you've addressed during the legal line call. For example, if you're advising a client about how to respond to a petition for divorce, you would find the corresponding phrase in the tool, advised on responding to petition, including general denial and counter petition. So in this case, you'll see advised on filing original petition, jurisdiction, and 60-day waiting period. Remember, this tool is only a guide and it's not exhaustive, so if you need to add something not addressed in the issue spotting tool, feel free to do so in your notes. Just make sure you follow this format as closely as possible. So you'll record all of the different things that you advise the client on, and if you sent anything to the client, which we will discuss in just a minute, put down here what you sent to the client so that our attorneys know that we did send some information. And then when you're done putting your advice in, you hit continue. During the call, you may want to send the client resources such as sample forms or links to websites. You can do this directly from LegalServer. Up on the right, there's an actions list. Select it and you will see some options. Down at the bottom is the send SMS text. You will need to get the client's consent before you send a text. We typically tell the client that the text will come through our computer, so it's not possible to reply. If the client prefers you send the resources via email, record that in your notes, and one of our staff attorneys will follow up. After you select Send SMS Text, a window will pop open. Please indicate that you received the client's consent to send a text. You don't need to fill in the mobile number here. The SMS phone number will automatically populate with the client's preferred number. In most cases, that is the mobile number, but before you send the text, please check that that's the mobile number. If it is not the mobile number, you will need to enter that number here. And then you can go ahead and type your message. Here are the forms you requested. When you're all done, you're going to hit send now. I'm not going to do it because it's going to give me an error message because that's a fake message or a fake phone number. So you would hit send now and then the text is sent. The issue spotting tool has links to the most frequent resources that our attorneys send out, as well as the do not reply to this number language, so you can paste that in the message box as well. The last thing you will want to do is record your time. Texas Advocacy Project receives grant funding for our pro bono hours, so it's important for you to track the time, and you can do this directly in the case file. So the section at the bottom with the case notes, you'll see a tab that's called timekeeping. Click on that tab and you will see all of the time that's been allocated to the case so far. To add time, you click on the plus sign in the gray circle. There are actually 2 gray circles here. We don't know why. Doesn't matter. Choose whichever one you want. Click that and a time slip opens. The form automatically enters some information. So you have the case number and the client's name here, so you don't need to put anything there. The caseworker's name, which will be you, will be there. The date of the call, the funding code, you do not need to do this. This is automatically populated and it's exactly what we want. The activity code, you will choose legal assistance. pro bono time? Yes, and then just ignore this. So then it's just a time sheet like you do in your typical day. You can enter the time you spent in increments of 1/10 of an hour or 6 minutes. You can also do it by the quarter hour. So for example, if you spent 15 minutes preparing, 1 hour on the call, and 20 minutes recording your notes, you would enter 1.6. So for the activity details, you would just write Legal Line Clinic. You don't need to enter anything into the case notes. If there is something you believe that our attorney, the reviewing attorney, should know, so for example, if you want them to be scheduled with a social worker, one of our social workers, or if they need to follow up with an email or even a follow-up call from an attorney, you can enter it into this space right here. You do not have to send the note as an email, so you can just ignore this button and be sure to click save at the bottom so your time will be recorded. Once you hit save, you'll be directed back to the case file. That's the basic walkthrough of LegalServer. If you have any issues accessing or using the system, don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks for your time and for the work you're doing to support survivors. Now let's move on to the next section of our training.